What is good? What is good? What is good with y'all boys? Welcome to another live stream brought to you by the Chop Shop. How's my audio quality control in the audience? Y'all let me know what the audio sound like, bro. Was good. Was good. Get your names in the chat so we can do the shout outs. Get your names in the chat so we can do the shout out. I see you, Swaggy. Was good with you, brother. Zachary saying was good. Sigga Migs holding it down. Devin 95. Was good with you. Dreaded Gandhi Gaming. You knew, brother, was good, man. Appreciate you for coming through. You new to me. I ain't seen you on here, but appreciate you. You Sagami, you up. Okay. You up on time. What was it, morning where you at, bro? Audio sounds good. Appreciate you, Assad. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I wanted to chop up some basketball with y'all. Obviously, kind of dead space for the Rockets, but there's always something to take away that we can take away for our team. And the thing I wanted to talk about today was just some I don't know if y'all watch. There's a show on Apple TV called Extrapolations, and they just take like I think it's like global warming or something, extrapolate years and years out to see what would happen with an idea. So I'm going to call this extrapolations of basketball from the playoffs. So I'm going to extrapolate from different series and things and different events that have happened throughout the playoffs and use it to look at it from a Rockets perspective. Right, we're going to look at it from a Rockets perspective, and why not start with the top a series, the one that just went seven, the one that just finished, which is the Golden State Warriors versus the Sacramento Kings. A lot of things to take away from this series. Obviously, the most obvious thing is the Alperen Sengun v. Sabonis, right? Like that was the thing everybody was using Sabonis as an avatar for Alperen Sengun, which to me is unfair, right? Because one, honestly, they play a different style of basketball. They are similar in like big picture play style, but as far as what their strengths and skills and what they do well, not the same, like not the same player. But there are some things we could take away from that, and like kind of what the Kings did this season. Shout out to the Kings for being able to make it to their first playoffs in probably over 20 years. So this was definitely something that was amazing for them. And hopefully, I pray to God we're never in that position, and I don't think we're gonna be. So but can you imagine being in that fan base, bro? Like you don't make the playoffs for 20 years. My God. So shout out to them, bro, for getting it. So I know the fan base for them is disappointed that they didn't get to make the next round, but baby steps, and kind of sucks that they had to go against basically one of the greatest dynasties in this era. So tough luck for them, but they got a taste of the playoffs. You can't really ask more from that. And they lost. And they lost a big part, huge part, because of Sabonis. Let's not cap. And it's not for the reasons that I thought, bro. Like honestly, I thought that Sabonis would be a bad fit because of his defensive issues. But the Kings were able to do a great job actually with Sabonis on the court defensively. And if you look at it, they actually like the scheme they had, it was working well. I don't know, they kind of abandoned it in this game seven. Game seven, they stopped, like they let Steph get off his screens clean without showing a hard hedge or trapping him. They just let him kind of just shoot. And a lot of the times they fell asleep. The guy that's supposed to come and help and show before the defender that's chasing him around the screen comes back into trail position and gets back in front of him. They just kind of just stood there. And I don't know if that was a coaching adjustment, but that's what killed them. But the talk around Sabonis, his issues were not defensively. I think Mike Brown did a great job in how they used him. You know what I mean? You got to look at it like, once again, this goes back to like we're comparing it to the Alperen Şengün pick and roll defense dilemma. Y'all remember? I'm gonna give y'all PTSD real quick. Houston versus Portland, right? Dame Lillard, 70. What he dropped? 70 on us, 72, whatever it was. I'm gonna give y'all PTSD. What did we see in that game? Right, drop coverage. Y'all seen I did a whole live on that explaining what Dame even himself said about when he plays his drop. That if a big is going to be in the drop, it doesn't matter if it's Wilt Chamberlain. It doesn't matter if it's what I mean. It could be Clint Capella, Alperen Şengün, Jokic, Embiid. If he plays the drop, if that big plays the drop, Dame is going to shoot. He's going to shoot every time. So we already knew, like, okay, damn, that's what I was thinking. Because Sabonis usually they play the drop with him. The only thing that I've seen them do in the regular season that let me know there was a way to use him is that they usually do a hard show with them, or what they call an aggressive drop. So there's really three levels of drop defense. And if y'all don't know, like for the people that don't watch this channel a lot, when you play the drop with your big man, he's going to be sank down, and the basically his job is to keep the big man that he's guarding and the ball handler that's trying to use that big man, whoever it is, um, as a screener. His job is to keep guard those two players. The reason he drops back is that number one thing you got to do as a big is protect the rim, right? That's your first assignment. Rim, that's you got to protect the rim. Everything else comes out, after that. So you're dropped back because you're assuming if you're too far up on a screen, that ball handler is going to get around you real fast, especially in the NBA. So they put these bigs in a drop and let these ball handlers come around, and then the guy that's chasing them, because that big is there, either that ball handler has to take a quick shot, or he's going to let the trail defender get back into position, and then that big that's playing the drop can switch back to his assignment. The problem is nowadays with the Steph, the Clays, the Draymonds, you got guys like Jalen Green coming into the league. These dudes are shooting. They letting it go from the hip. Like as soon as they hit the screen, into their threes. Like it's the NBA is really changing. So the defense is. I will forecast that in a few years, maybe like 10 years from now, the drop defense may be like obsolete. It'll be like something where a lot of teams use it, kind of like how the zone is, where you throw it out for certain matchups, because these kids are just coming out shooting, right? Kids are coming out of school. Everybody wants to play like Steph. Everybody wants to play like Dame. Everybody wants to play like Jason Tatum, and all these. Everybody now is like a pull-up shooter around the screen. So that defense, a lot of time when these dudes have these high-scoring games, it's usually on a drop big. So I think that defense is going to be obsolete. All that to say that when I think of the Warriors, they are like the worst matchup for the Alperen Sengun archetype, right? They are the worst matchup for any big that's like not a switch defender. Hell, we saw what they did to Clint Capella, right? Clint Capella, there's a video I made called "The End of the CP3 and James Harden Era." You guys can check it on the channel. Um, Clint Capella was playing as well as he could, but the fact that he wasn't used to playing at the level of the screen really lost us that series in 2019 when the Warriors beat us in six. That game where Steph went nuts, dropping 30 points. A lot of that was Clint's fault. Then it was PJ Tucker. I mean, he just took turns cooking us, but it's really that drop coverage, even for athletic centers like Clint. So everybody, bigs are going to struggle against the Warriors. In fact, I was yelling at my TV, Mike D'Antoni, take Clint Capella out the game. Like, take the dude out the game. He shouldn't be in the game with Steph. Like, just go small, switch it out, and ultimately, that's what hurt the Kings in the end, because it wasn't even Sabonis's defense; it was his offense, which was weird, right? And a lot of I've seen the stuff on Twitter and people saying, is Alperen Sengun better than Sabonis? No, he's not. He's better than him in certain things, but overall, like, it's the playoffs, bro. You're playing the Warriors. We've seen what they do to people, right? And look, can we give Kevon Looney his flowers as a big man? I mean, at this point, it's not a coincidence. This dude is a goon. Yeah, I mean, he's a board monster. This dude, like, I have a hierarchy of important players in the Warriors dynasty. Number one is Steph. Number two is Draymond. It used to be Clay. I'm gonna swap Clay and put Looney, then Clay as the fourth most important. So Looney's the third, because the stuff he does on the boards and what he does to opposing bigs and what he does to punish people, man. You know what I mean? That dude is a beast, man. That dude is a beast. And you know what I mean? So Sabonis was pretty good on defense because, he's not a big. You know what I mean? He's not like Jokic. He's not like Sengun. Sengun is wider and thicker than him. He's more of a leaner, kind of slender, athletic, but he's not a super athlete. But what he was doing well is that when the Warriors would set the screens, he had a good ability to be able to hard show. That means he's going to meet Steph at the line of the screen, or what they call an aggressive drop. and then retreat back to his assignment, which was Looney or Draymond or whoever it was. Now, this didn't always work out perfectly, but I don't care who you are. That's the best you can do with the Warriors if you're not going to switch it. And even switches have their problem, right? And the reason you can't switch too much with the Warriors because Draymond, all they're going to do, you know what they're going to do when you start switching? This is another thing that killed this is they're going to grab Draymond to become the screener. And guess what Draymond is the king of? Y'all watch my Draymond is one of the best short roll passers in NBA history. And what he's going to do, they call it ghosting the screen. He's just going to slip those screens. And when you slip screens, it catches your switchers in no man's land, where you have two people staring at Steph while Draymond is rolling to the basket. Steph is going to pass him the ball. Everybody's going to scramble to stop him. Either somebody's going to cut for an open layup, or you got Clay in the corner draining the three. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And basically, I think that Sabonis did a great job defensively for the type of defense that they played. And shout out to the Kings, like perimeter defense for most of the series. Them boys was on a string. And that's really what it comes down to when you're playing a team like the Warriors, is being on a string. And you can look at, they didn't really have like just these clamps, right? You got Fox, you got you got what's his name, Malik Monk. You got all these kind of short, undersized guys that aren't really known for defense, but they played as a team. What does that mean for the Rockets? You looking at guys like Jalen, Kevin Porter, Atari, Jabari. You should get excited. You know what I mean? The Rockets have drafted pretty big wings, right? We have a big backcourt. Kevin Porter, if he stays through the rebuild, and I think he's gonna really shock a lot of people if he is here if they don't trade him. Kevin Porter is, he's 6'5" and he's big. You know what I mean? Dude is built like a forward, and he's still young. His body hasn't even thickened like the grown man. Y'all go look at any guys within their first few years. That muscle's still coming for him. Jalen Green still has a couple more pounds of muscle, maybe 20 more pounds of muscle by the time he's 25 to add to his frame. Tari Eason is already built like a defensive end, what I mean, in the NFL, a skinny one, but a Javon Kurtz type. But, the dude, he got shoulders. He's 21. He's built. Jabari, I'm telling y'all, Jabari's going to be swole. Y'all mark my words, bro. He's going to be like Giannis' body. But the point I'm saying is that before I even make the point about Sengun and the perimeter defense, and this is what I've been preaching about while people were talking all season, like, oh my God, the Rockets defense, or their Sengun is such a bad defender. Sengun is not such a bad defender. No, the Rockets were a bad defensive team. There's no defensive scheme you could run in a vacuum. Everything has to be on a string, and they were not a string. They were just a bunch of threads. So they weren't really doing anything together. And it looked horrible. And it looks especially bad on that big, because that big is the center, hence the word center, is the center of all those actions. So when it goes wrong, who you're going to blame? Blame the big, right? So Sacramento, with a limited kind of athletic build of a team, bunch of short guys, offensively geared guys, but smart, high IQ with a great coach, put themselves in position to be able to knock out the defending champs. And they just couldn't get it right because, I think this game, the Mike Brown kind of blew it, but Sabonis didn't give him nothing on offense. Like, the dude was trash, bro. The dude was trash. Like, let me pull up some of the stats that this dude have. I'm gonna try to share my screen with y'all. Let's see if this works. Y'all know how I and technology work, but we'll see if it works. Y'all tell me in the chat if it works. Let me go back. Y'all can see this? Okay. So the first thing we're looking at here, this is Sabonis's regular season versus his playoffs offense, just his regular stats. You can see a drop there, 19.1 points in the regular season to 16, drop in assists, drop in rebounds, increase in turnovers, slight increase in blocks. So defensively, he actually improved, but offensively, look at these advanced stats. Offensive rating dropped 16 points, right? That's a guy that, and people want to compare him to Sengun. If y'all watch the games, what was he doing? He couldn't get a damn layup. Couldn't move Looney with the post ups. You know what I mean? He really couldn't do anything he wanted to do. Defensive rating got better. Like I told you, the defense was never the issue. Net rating minus 13.4. That's your best player. That's your all-star. A minus 13.4 net rating on the court during the playoffs. His assist percentage went down, so he couldn't even pass. Rebounds getting killed on those by Looney. Look at his effective field goal percentage. That's on twos and threes. 13 - 13.2, went from 63% to 50. Look at his true shooting, went down 15%. Nasty, right? And to me, the worst part of what he did was the things that he normally does on offense, which is assists. He posts up a little bit, but he's not like nice like that. But this is just horrendous. 0.67 points per possession in post ups. That would put him in the 18th percentile. And his pick and roll big on offense is the screener where he rolls or gets the ball on a pop, 10th percentile. That's horrible. You compare that to what he did in the regular season, and it's like night and day. In the regular season and post ups, he was in the 50th percentile. When you look at Alperen Sengun is a way better offensive player than Sabonis. And I'm talking about right now, which is wild to say for somebody that's 20 years old. Right? There's a video I made around Christmas time. I forgot what it's called, but it's the one where I compare him and Jokic and Sengun and how their play styles are. So if you look at the different play styles, like what they do well, um, I think Alp pretty much offensively for most of the categories is either at the level or better than Sabonis. Defensively, in some categories, they're about the same. But overall, Sabonis is just a better overall player because he's a better defender. He's a more polished, like just offensive initiator, and just does everything just a little bit better. But he's like 6 years older, right? So the comparison of saying is Alp better than Sabonis? No, he's not. That's just dumb, right? Alp's not an all star, and as obviously, it's like asking if Jalen is better than Fox or somebody like that. But you could see the flashes of what he could be. The question for the Rockets is one: how much of an investment are you going to make into Alperin as a fulcrum of your offense? And two, for Alp is, can you get to the point where you are able to do what Sabonis did in a playoff series, which is a low, low bar? Can he show and retreat? Can he flash or hard trap? Can he trap and get back to his spot? That is a low bar for a team to do, and that really depends on the rest of the team around him. And I honestly think that with Jabari, Tari, with Jalen, whoever else they're going to bring, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, whoever we bring into in free agency that's going to be here with us in the long term. I don't think whoever the players are for this year, like right now, I don't think those players are going to be the ones that are going to be here long term. But I think they're going to sign one player that's going to be here for the long while. At least somebody that's going to be in their mid-20s. But otherwise, I don't see like some of the vets we're going to get. By the time we're in the playoff series, I don't think they're going to be here. Maybe one of them might be, but I think the one player we're going to give a big contract to, they're going to be here. Can those group of players, Wemby, Scoot, Brandon Miller, whoever it is, when we're 3 years from now, can we play a team defense that? Because ultimately, what you want to do is get to a point where you're not really super relying on any one person to do everything for you. Now, we can have great players, but you never want to invest too much into any player because if they get hurt or they just have a bad series, then you're done for. But the thing with the Kings is that they actually were in position to win these games, but Sabonis was just being clamped down because he's not that good of an offensive player. If he can't post up and bully ball like he normally does, he's done. So the challenge for Alperen Sengun is one, what notes can he take from this? Dude, keep working on your post game. Them post ups, you're not going to do 30 post ups in a game to Alp, but you know what you're going to do? Hey, man, we need a bucket. It's been a 3-minute stretch. Jalen to missed 3 or 4 shots. You know what I mean? KPJ to missed 3 or 4 shots. Jabari's on a cold streak. Dude, dump it off to Alp Cook. That is just as important as anything you could do. Dump it off to Alp, do your thing. Sabonis can't do that. One, he's not that strong as far as just being able to move guys like Alperin does. I've seen Alp bully like Brook Lopez. I've seen him bully Jokic. I've seen him bully pretty much every big Allen, you know what I mean, Jared Allen. I've seen him bully these dudes. I've seen him bully Joel Embiid, just banging them, moving them around. You know what I mean? So if Alp's watching this, I'm telling him, bro, you gotta still stay in your bag on that. Lift some weights, get stronger. You got to get stronger because the defense is going to get real tight. They're going to call the games tighter. Number two, you got to have a jumper, bro. It's real hard to play as that type of big and not have a jumper. If you know what I mean, and even defensively, I think the bar for him to be able to just be somebody that could walk. I mean, that could be do an aggressive drop or be able to hard hedge on a screen and retreat back. That's easy. Y'all want to see how easy it is? Go watch big old Marc Gasol do it against the Steph when they were playing Toronto versus Golden State. Marc Gasol at 30 whatever years old, slow as hell, couldn't jump over a piece of paper and he was doing it. He'll bang his little body on the screen, then just kind of waddle backwards back to his assignment. So Alperen should be able to do that because to me, a lot of that stuff is just that's more defensive IQ. Pretty much any big should be able to set a hard hedge and recover. Like that's so basic. Now it doesn't mean it's going to work because teams could then start countering by using the fact that you're letting a guy just basically be alone for a second. But at the end of the day, it takes the ball out of the Steph Currys, the Dame Lillards of the world. So you know, what I mean that is in itself is a low bar, and I think Alperen can do that. I think what the question has to be then, what does he bring on the offensive end of the ball, um, and will that be able to mitigate what he did, what his limitations are defensively? And I think for the Kings, that's a question that Mike Brown should have answered. I ain't gonna lie, they should have benched Sabonis, bro. Like, you know what I mean? He was having a good game to start, but the reason that they were really in the series is because of Trey Lyles. When they went small with Trey Lyles at the five, that's why. You know what I mean? That's the reason why. And this goes back to another point that I like to make is roster flexibility. When you're building a team, like y'all got to stop with the all or nothing. Everybody lives in this like dichotomy where it's either you love this player and he's Michael Jordan, Shaq, LeBron, or he's just garbage and should be off the team and out the league. That's not how basketball works. You feel me? Like it should be matchups, right? Especially in the playoffs. It doesn't. I don't care who's starting or who's not starting. Like all this stuff, like Mike Brown trying to give Sabonis the nod. No, bro, that dude's gonna play 20-some minutes. Yeah, you got us here. Appreciate you, bro. You got AD in the next round. Buckle up for that. Right now, we need to go small. Jabari, you're playing the five. You feel me? That's the type of coach I would be. Hey, Jabari, suit up, bro. You're gonna be playing a lot of five this series because we're playing blah blah blah. All right, LP. Hey, get ready. He's a big monster in there, so you gotta. You feel me? That's how a coach should push the buttons. It should never be on. Oh man, that's my starter. That's my. That this is the guy that like. It doesn't matter if you're trying to win games, then your guys should understand that. So for all the people that's like, oh, we gotta get this type of player, this type of player. Yes, we do. We also need a player like Alperen Sengun because you can't find his skill set out there on the open market. I guarantee you, if Sabonis had half the offensive talent that Alp had, not half, let me not say half. If he was as good offensively as Alperen was, I think the Kings probably win this series. But he was so bad that he was a minus, I think he's a minus 14 on the series or 18 or something like that per 100 possessions. Like, that's not good. You can't, you're not going to win playoff games like that. And it's perfectly fine to let guys like not start, right? To let players that are really good, hey, this is not for you. But some coaches just get stuck on their things, their rotations. Now, I've seen Ime, we're talking about Coach Udoka and how he plays, and I've been looking at some film and from the Celtics trying to figure out their offense and things, and I'll probably be doing a more detailed video on their offensive system and how it fits the guys. I put a poll on Twitter to see what guys wanted to what video I should make next. Should it be one that looks at free agents or how Ime Udoka's offensive system fits our guys? And I think people want the offensive system one, but I'll just give you guys a heads up. He's the right coach. I think we made a great choice with him. I think his system is perfect for our players. I think we have a lot of interesting players that we could add to us to really make us really just super flexible. But you watch, how they play in the playoffs and how Coach Udoka coaches and makes adjustments. He makes adjustments, and he's the type of coach that he really likes to put guys in position to really play through their issues. So and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But one of the things that he didn't adjust in was what we were just talking about, because Al Horford is like the holy grail of big men that everybody wants to use as the standard for. Oh yeah, you need an Al Horford. Al Horford is probably the reason the Celtics lost, and Jason Tatum being like the worst basketball player during that series. But he was playing the drop, and Steph just destroyed him. That's how Steph got his first Finals MVP, right? So all these, like, y'all got to learn to, if people are talking in these extremes where, oh, this player can't, then they just don't know basketball, right? Certain players aren't good at certain things, but there's like nuance to it. There's variations. There's degree levels. Like Al Horford should not be playing a drop against Steph Curry. I don't give a damn how good of a defender he is. They should have took him out the game, right? Time Lord, I don't care how long his arms are, should not be playing a drop against Steph Curry. Go small. Go small. And that's really what lost them that final series. So the point, and I'm going to keep making this point till I'm blue in the face, is you have talent. Yes. Okay, good. We want you on our team. Because at some point, you're going to need that talent. You can go small and put Jabari at the 5, but then you're going to be playing some bigger players, and you might need a body like a Sengun, right? Or you might have a matchup where the opposing team is really small and you want to punish them on the inside. The point is roster flexibility. And I think that if you have available options that are viable for a coach and the coach is smart enough, then you have the tools you need to win a championship. So all these fantasies that people try to pose, like, oh yeah, you need this player, that player, that doesn't matter, bro. It's like, because no matter what the matchup is, you're going to need to adjust. And there's going to be a stretch of games where that one player comes in game 6 for the Warriors. It was Terrence Davis. He got hot and just made a bunch of threes. There's always a guy, you know what I mean? Jay Gupp comes in as a off the bench and drops 20 in a quarter, and you never hear from him again. But he won us that one game in the playoffs. That's how it happens. This guy does this. This guy goes off for this. Like, you got to trust the process of building out a team. So I just think that what I'm taking away from this series is, I think, more positive than negative. The positive is that, yes, this archetype can play against a team with great shooters. The only thing is they have to be good at other stuff, right? You have to be able to make make some shots. You have to be able to generate some offense, and you have to be able to rebound if you're going to be a big man that's not a defensive savant. At least you got to be a good rebounder, damn near elite. You got to do something elite, and Sabonis just did not do that, right? Sabonis just did not do that. So that's my thing. I think that we can look at it and say that our guys are okay. We have a lot of talent, and it's going to be up to the coach and Rafael Stone to be able to combine it together and mix it up and use them in the best way. I think that one of the key free agent acquisitions I want to see for the Rockets, especially with the roster we're trying to build. I think the archetypes you're going to be looking for to really complete the roster out. You're going to be looking for a floor spacing big man. You're going to be looking for a big man that is a traditional, like a shot blocker, rim protector, or a combination of both. Which there's a couple guys that fits that build, but not a lot. Maybe one or two, right? You're thinking of guys like Brooke Lopez. Here's a name you guys haven't heard a lot: Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know. I think Space might have mentioned it. I'm not sure. I think he might have said that he wanted him. But you know what I mean? You're talking about a guy like Kristaps Porzingis. And the reason you want that archetype is the versatility to pair up in different lineups. Because when you can space the floor, you can do a lot of stuff on both ends and kind of mix and match your 4 and 5 rotation if you got a big that could shoot. And another archetype we need, obviously, we just need a shooter. We need some guys that can make some buckets. You know what I mean? You're talking about at the guard position and at the forward position. And there's some shooting in the draft. Max Strus, if you guys are watching the Miami Heat play, that's a guy that is not a sexy name, but if Rockets fans know, Max Strus turns into prime Michael Jordan when he plays us. But I like him as a player. He's a shooting guard and great. He could be a good guy to come off the bench, vet minimum guy. You know what I mean? Just dude that I think he can't. He was a unsigned, and the Heat just picked him up, and now he's something. So these are value guys. A lot of people don't say this free agency class. Yeah, it's not sexy like um, there's not these big names like Dame and KD's available, but you can have players that give you depth at key positions and good veterans on in this free agency class. So that's why I like this class. It's a good class for us, and I don't think that we're at the level where we want. In fact, I'm happy that it's not a sexy free agency class because we're not ready to make that sexy acquisition of some of the like big free agents. Now, if it's a guy that's between 24 and 28 years old, yeah, you can bring him in because they still have a little runway to grow with your guys and then still be relatively in their prime. So I'm talking about the Mikal Bridges, Jalen Browns of the world. That level of player, those type of the young up and coming stars, relative all stars, superstars, two-way stars, whatever you want to call them. Those are the type of players that you don't really. It doesn't matter what time it is on your timeline. If they're available, you go get them. But I'm talking about like these, like if Kevin Durant. Let me see. I guess everybody would probably try to get KD. Honestly, I wouldn't. I don't. I'm not really high on KD. I think he's redundant, and he's as a lead of a scorer as he is. He's a cherry on the cake type of player. He doesn't really move the needle much on a bad team. Um, he's a icing. Like, okay, I got a good team. Then I add Kevin Durant. Okay, now we're cooking. But I think just the huge names of these players, the Kyries, KDs, the James Hardens of the world, those guys, like it doesn't make sense to me. Like those type of acquisitions do not make sense. Like why? What is the purpose of that? What are we trying to do? What are you trying to do? Like besides just be relevant? I think those are popular names to put on, but what are you trying to do? You're going to pay a guy 3 out of 4 years max contract to be a veteran when you can get the same value from a journeyman or somebody that's a old ex star like a Mike Conley or somebody like that, or like a George Hill that's a free agent, and you can get that same value for paying them $5 million and still be ready once that sexy free agent class is available. It doesn't make sense, guys. Like I think at this point, people are just arguing from nostalgia. The assumption that a player like James Harden is the only vet in the league that could get our guys ready is trash, bro. Because historically, players like him don't make good vets. Not because he's a bad guy, because he's going to be trying to win and play games. As we know, all the great players, their vets were just bench players or guys that were guys that aren't guys anymore and have the intention of being somebody that is going to be. My job is here to help this young guy. Like to be a vet for a young player and to let them shine above you and do all this stuff, you have to know that coming in. Like, this is your job. This is your job. Like, you're here to be a vet. That's a whole, like, if you had a functional statement for what a vet and what a guy that they're just signing to come hoop, it looks different. Like, it's a different role, like, it's a different job altogether. So, I don't see the James Harden thing does not make sense to me. Like it doesn't make sense financially unless he agrees to like if he wants to do a 2 year contract, 3 year. Let's come on. You can get us on ESPN. You know what I mean? Come on, let's yeah, we run pick and rolls. Let's say we get a good big and Jalen can learn a thing or two, but I think ultimately you don't need that to really reach your goals. And I think a lot of people are setting the argument like, oh, if we don't have James Harden, somehow Jalen's going to be a bust. Like that's stupid, bro, right? Like there's 29 other teams that don't have James Harden and they're doing just fine, right? There's a bunch of guys in the playoffs right now that never trained under James Harden and they're doing just fine. There's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame that never had James Harden and guess what? They're doing just fine, right? Kobe had Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel. I think more Nick Van. I think him and Eddie had some issues, but you know what I mean? Nick Van Exel was his vet. You feel me? So nothing sexy about that, right? Devin Booker had a Tyson Chandler. Nothing sexy about that. You know what I mean? So there's like you look through NBA history, vets are these guys that, they have their run and they're ready to take on that role. And I think there's a lot of guys. that fit the bill that we could bring in, keep flexibility, and still have a decent team. You know what I mean? But the fact that you're going to pay a guy, you know what, 40, 45, $50 million because you want him to teach Jalen how to pass the ball, like, bro, we have coaches for that. Right? Just go ahead and get a point guard, a backup point guard. Because he'll be just fine. I guarantee you Jalen will still develop without James Harden. But people argue like James Harden's this magic elixir. They'll find clips on YouTube of guys saying, "Yeah, he's my, James is a good mentor to me." Okay. What about the other guys on the roster? And not the ones he goes out to parties with, and not the ones he hangs out with off the court. You feel me? So I think that argument's getting stale, and we gonna see how he perform. But if you all been watching, James is really on a decline, bro. Like I said it, people were like, I posted a graphs of him, how his finishing at the rim, his frequency of drives, everything is on a decline for years. The past like 3 years, it's like a perfect negative slope, just downhill across the board. I mean, he's having the telltale signs of a player that's getting old, and we want to go throw what 200 mil at him. Y'all, come on, man. Y'all, come on, man. That's not it. Not the move, man. Not the move. We need to look forward and ahead. So I'm like in. There's a lot of good players. Let me see. I'll open up my little spreadsheet. So I was going to save this for a video, but let's go ahead and get into it right now. Austin Reeves. What do y'all think about Austin Reeves? Austin Reeves is going to be he's going to be a restricted free agent. Love him. One of the best young guards in the NBA. He's older. He's Austin is 24, about to be 25 years old. But what I mean, he's still young player. One of what I mean, runs the pick and roll like a 5-year vet. I think the Lakers are going to do everything they can to keep him. But teams could really try to screw them because they don't have a lot of space on their cap sheet. There's some rules that would make them kind of make the contracts look funny, but if Austin's chasing a bag, the biggest bag he can get is outside of LA. So, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's a good guard. George Hill is a name that I like. To me, George Hill is a perfect vet to bring in for our guys. Professional, champion, guys played in the finals a couple of times. Been on a young team, came up with the Paul George, with Paul George and them boys over in Indiana. You feel me? He's been in wars. You know what I mean? A leader. This is a guy that is gonna, be a locker room presence. Those are the type of players you want to bring in. Low maintenance, won't mind coming off the bench. Is a good complementary type of guard to any of your players that are, because we got Jabari, we got KPJ, we got Jalen Green, we got Alperen Sengun. These are all scorers. So I don't want to bring in a guy that's going to dominate the ball. Let my young guns get some love. You feel me? So that's a guy that I like. I'm moving off of Fred VanVleet. I think whoever's the people that have been low on Fred VanVleet, you guys have done a great job convincing me. And I've just hearing stuff from random people. I think if we get him, I'm not going to be mad. But I think if he wants too much money, I just don't think the value that he brings is worth what we could get somewhere else for other people. Another guard that I would like is like I said, Max Strus is a guy. He's a dude that's a great shooter, moving shooter. Could put the ball on the ground. He's a bit of a. I'm going to use a white athlete buzzword here. He's a sneaky athlete. He low-key is. Dude, he can hoop. Max Strus is a hooper. He is a better version of what's your boy name that we had that was shooting stupid shots randomly. Y'all put it in the chat. What's this dude's name? I'm blanking on his name. Garrison Matthews. Yeah, he is a better Garrison Matthews. You know what I mean? He is a controlled shooter, takes smart shots, can dribble, can initiate offense a little bit. I think that'd be a great pickup for the Rockets. Pat Beverly, I don't give a damn what Pat asked for. He's not getting no $15 million a year. Maybe $15 million over 3 years, with that third year being a team option. But I think Pat Bev will be a great guy. Bring him back to Houston. Let him kind of instill some toughness. Hey, everywhere Pat goes, he wins. Pat Beverly has never not been in the playoffs or playing in his career, right? He's always in something. You feel me? So, like, I think I love that attitude that he brings. That's going to be a coach on the court for your players. won't let them guys be doing some of the dumb stuff. You combine Pat Beverly with Ime Udoka and some other guys you bring in. Now you're cooking, right? So Pat Bev is somebody I would love to have. I think he changes. And it's gonna be fun to watch him, right? It's gonna be fun to watch him. Forwards, threes and fours. Top of the name is gonna be Cam Johnson. That's a guy that I think fits the bill of the type of player you want to spend some money on. I have him marked down as a $25 million salary, probably 4 years. So you're looking at probably about 100 mil over four. And that's not bad. That's about what his camp was asking for last I checked. And in a couple of years, that salary is not going to look so bad. For a guy, it is a bit high for a role player, and he's not going to be like a starter that's like running pick and rolls and like breaking dudes down, but he's going to bring shooting, right? Elite shooting. He's a big kid, 6'8", good wingspan, good size on his body, can guard and performs in big positions. I would sign him. I see Space say he doesn't want him for the 100 mil. Dude, I ain't gonna lie, I'll make that move, bro. I'll put that move down because I just feel like a guy that can drop 40 in the playoff game. Hey, if you can do that, that means at least at some point you can win me a couple of playoff games in a series. So, yeah, I would make that move. Another name that's out there, Dylan Brooks. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. Like I wouldn't be just devastated if we got him, but man, to me he's so immature. He is so immature. Like he's not immaturity takes away from his limitations. So if he was a limited player and but was like a good locker room presence, mature, a good vet like Pat Beverly, then you bring him in. But Dylan Brooks is very immature, and I just don't see that. So no. Draymond Green, another name that people have I've heard people say. Draymond is a weird kind of fit here with us. I'm not sure how that works with the Senguns of the world and the Taris of the world. In the vacuum, yes, for the all the stuff I just said about the opposite of Dylan Brooks, Draymond is obviously like a weird kind of aggressive player. That's just to put it lightly, but I don't know about the fit on this team. I think Draymond would be perfect. Ironically enough, in Sacramento, I mean, they would. Oh my God, if he was there, the Warriors are done. Like so, Draymond in Sacramento, Draymond, another team that he'd be nice on is Portland. I think that's a great fit for him. Those two teams are my teams that he should go to. Draymond should stay away from LA. I've heard people say he wants to go to the Lakers. So no. Yeah, Draymond might. Jake said Draymond might knock out Jalen. Yeah, he just might do that. Just might do that. Grant Williams, another name. Grant is a player on the Celtics. Dude is 24 years old, still very young. He's by all accounts, a great locker room presence. Right. This is a dude that like I listen to Bill Simmons podcast, and when they talk about the Celtics, they always talk about how kind of low key little brother annoying is. Like he's the guy that tries to hype you up when you're just trying to chill, gets in the team's faces, and you're looking at like the guy like Jason Tatum's like an MVP candidate, and you got Grant trying to tell him what to do in a timeout. And it's like the guys just look at him like, dude, shut up. But for us, that's probably a good thing, right? You want some of that rah-rah, right? He's gonna be like a in your face type of let's go type of player, which I love those type of guys. The fit, I think it is a little. I think if he comes, we have to move off of Tate or KJ. Yeah, I think we have to move at least one of them. At least one of them. You got to move off of one of those dudes. Preferably Tate. Preferably Tate. I would because Grant Williams can do pretty much everything he does. He's a better shooter, versatile defender, can guard the perimeter. You can put him at the 4. If you want to get real freaky, you can put him at the small ball 5. You know what I mean? And you can just move things around to get him. I like guys that they can play multiple positions and shoot. That to me, those are the type of plays you want to bring in. You can play two or three positions and you can shoot, right? And so that's an interesting one. Jeff Green is a name you probably haven't heard. I like Uncle Jeff. I think Uncle Jeff is a good vet. You know what I mean? He's a great vet actually. He's well respected around the league. Been damn near on every team in the NBA. So, but bring him back to Houston, man. Jeff still got some springs on him. He's not a great shooter, but can still hit a shot. can play some 4, some 5, space out the floor, give you different looks. He's tough and a great locker room present. He's going to be a guy. So I want you guys to start thinking about names like this. So let's move off of the bring James and Kyrie Irving. Like let's get realistic. Let's get down to like the achievable players and start being imaginative about how you want the team to look. So yeah, I think Jeff Green is a good name that we could look at. Chris Middleton, I've heard. I don't know. I don't like Chris Middleton. I'm sorry. I don't like Chris Middleton because there's really nothing he does well. He's a great shooter, but like I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. He's going to cost you a lot. And to me, he falls in the category of, let me see how old he's 31. Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see why we're going for Chris Middleton. Let him go to a contender. Let him be there. Here's a name. This one might be controversial. Kyle Kuzma. I'm kind of interested in Kyle Kuzma, man. I like the trajectory he's on. He's old. He's 27, about to be 28. He does bring shooting and length. Not a super great defender, but you know what I mean? Like I like just his upside as a shooter, shot creator. Kyle can play different styles. He can initiate a little bit in the pick and roll. He can do some DHO stuff, some dribble handoffs. He can shoot on good catch and shoot 3-point shooter. He's tough. Like I said, he's not a good defender, but he's gritty and he cares, right? So, that's half the battle with these guys. I think Kyle is kind of like he's been there. You know what I mean? This is a dude that's played on a championship team. So, you know, that's just my opinion. I think Kyle could be a player we look at. Rui Hachimura, I'm not. I mean, I like Rui in theory, and I love how he looks on LA right now. I just don't. I don't know. Rui's kind of stiff, right? He's very robotic. I think he still needs to develop. So he has a lot of developing to do, and so yeah, I think LA is great. Torrey Craig from the Suns, y'all see what he did to the Clippers. I think he'd be a perfect wing to bring in. If we don't get a Cam Johnson and you just want to kick the can down the road a little bit, Torrey Craig is a great name. Bring him in, tough guy, locker room guy, great vet off the bench, can shoot, can do a little bit more than shooting that he's showing in this series. A guy you can throw on the other team's best wing player and just have that person in hell for the whole game. I mean, that's a guy I like. I see Chetman says, what about Josh Richardson? I like Josh. I like Josh. The reason I didn't put him on there because and you notice the guys I picked in the guards are guys that could initiate a little bit. Not saying Josh could create. He's a great at attacking the closeout. But I just don't like he's a limited ball handler. So and his shooting isn't like a Max Strus elite shooting where you're okay with him just being able to attack closeouts. If I bring a guard in, it's either going to be a point guard or a combo guard that's more high level as far as initiation. That's why I don't think Josh Richardson. But once again, would not be unhappy with him. I think he's a great player for our team. Like he can shoot three. He's a good defender, 3-and-D guy that could guard pretty much 1, 2, and 3. A guy I was talking about today earlier was Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles, I love like Trey Lyles is like to me he's the perfect type of player, the archetype that we need for to pair up with our guys. I think he is the reason I like him. Once again, fits my criteria. He can play 2 or 3 positions, can shoot. He's not a cone on defense. He's not a lockdown defender, but he's a good defender. And you know what I mean? So I think Trey Lyles is a great player we can use. You've seen him. He was I think a plus 12 or something against the Warriors in the playoffs. They were better when he was playing the 5 for them. So, having guys like that you could put at the 5, ultimately Jabari would end up being Trey Lyles by the time you're competing. But until then, you want to win some games while Jabari's learning. Just bringing the Trey Lyles to come off the bench, at that forward. Another name I like, Utah Watanabe from the Brooklyn Nets. Now, besides getting dunked on a lot, because Utah is known for being in posters, he's actually a good player, good shooter, good length. Not a super, super, super elite at anything, but I just think that he plays with good effort. He's smart. Bring more smart guys into the building, right? A good, he's 28 years old, been around basketball a couple years. I think that's a guy you can get for the minimum just to be on a roster. And imagine all these guys are replacing Dacian Nix and Yeah, I mean Garuba and maybe not Garuba. I think Garuba has some upside. The J Gup minutes and the until Ty gets better, the Ty minutes and what we used to have with Gary Bird. And remember some of these players that we used to bring in the game that would just crash the team out. So now, when I'm saying these names, I'm not saying they're going to be starters. Just think about filling out your roster with actual NBA player, right? With an actual NBA player. So I mean, that's definitely something that you want to be able to do, right? When you go to your bench at the end of a third quarter, you want it to be an actual NBA player coming off to relieve your starters, so you're not getting destroyed. Because right now we have to switch our mindset from tanking to being winning. So when you're thinking about winning, it's gonna take some time for y'all to get used to thinking like a winner. Because I think most of y'all, some of y'all tanked y'all's brains throughout the rebuild. Let's reboot them. You got to reset your brain. Now let's start thinking like a winning team. So don't just think about tanking moves like, oh, we gotta do this and this. You got to think about roster 1 through 15. Even though you're probably going to play 10 guys, you got to think about injuries and all the stuff that comes with trying to be a competitive roster, play styles, where guys fit, what type of presence are going to be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, before I go on to the centers, we're going to do a quick public service announcement. If you guys want to keep supporting the channel, supporting the quality content that we bring, supporting great basketball discourse, please hit us up on Cash App at $ Chop Shop HTX. All the donations we get are used to pay for our subscriptions to different services we have. Some of the statistics website we use, the streaming platforms, our video softwares, Adobe Premiere for all you guys that are content creators. You know how expensive that is. So you guys support the channel as we support you all with great basketball. That's hit us up on Cash App at the Chop Shop HTX. That's $ Chop Shop HTX. For all those who are new to the channel, if you're new, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and just join a community of great basketball minds. Our CSG, if you hear us say the term CSG, that stands for Chop Shop Gang. That's the membership. If you're interested in being a member, click the join button, and you will be able to have access to a lot of perks that come with the membership. And shout out to y'all. And yeah, space. Adobe is expensive as a mug, bro. You got it. That's like damn near paying for a car, bro, just to be able to edit these videos. But with that said, appreciate all that you guys do for us, and yeah, keep rocking with us. Okay, so the last group I'm going to look at is the centers. So there's some names. Obviously, to me, the number one name for center is going to be Brook Lopez. I think he's probably the best center out of this group. I think Brook is an interesting fit because I think he can fit again with multiple players. I think Brook and Sengun is weird. It's weird because really you want Brook to be next to a more versatile big. So I think that's weird. So that'll be weird if they do sign Brook Lopez. I think probably Sengun probably comes off the bench and that's fine because Brook Lopez is a champion, right? And that's another thing you guys have to get used to. When you're not tanking, if you bring in better players, it's okay for these young guys to come off the bench. Like last year, Jabari should have came off the bench. Yeah, he should have came off the bench. Dude was not ready to play. If Jabari was on a real team, he would be coming off the bench. And that's okay. That's fine. And that happens. Kobe came off the bench his first 2 seasons because he was 18 or whenever he came in the league, right? That's okay. It's perfectly fine. Does not impact his legacy or what he's going to be as a player. So yeah, I like Brook because I think Brook is going to be a 20 million. That's what I have him written down as 20 million. Shout out to Third Coast. What's good, brother? Yeah, that Premiere is not a joke, bro. And I have the whole Creative Cloud catalog. So yeah, bro, it's like paying for an apartment. But yeah, Brook is 20 million. That's light. That's light money. That's light money. That's light work. He probably wants a short contract. You give him a 3-year contract, 20 million. He can shoot threes, space the floor, can guard multiple bigs. It's a great drop defender. This is a dude. He has a post bag. I think he'd be a great vet for Sengun. Get him shooting, man. That's a great vet for Sengun. And everybody, when y'all think of vets, y'all think of just Jalen. I think that's where everybody's mind defaults to the backcourt. But you got to remember, we need vets for our big men too. Jabari needs a vet, right? Sengun needs a vet. Tari, they need vets. So you know what I mean. Ideally, you want guys that can add. It doesn't have to be positional alliance. Like it's just like, oh yeah, you need a point guard to be your vet. Because like I said, Devin Booker's vet was Tyson Chandler. Really, the vet's job is to teach them how to be a pro. how to work, how to practice, how to get sleep when you're on the road, how to just little stuff like stuff that makes you be a successful individual in the NBA that our guys aren't having right now. But I think Brooke Lopez would fit that bill. Him and his brother, I love the Lopez brothers. I wouldn't be mad at Robin if we got him as a guy that's like the 12th man on the roster to just be there to like cheer the guys on. He'd be a super upgrade over Boban. I know Boban was cool for vibes, but Robin is actually a guy that could actually give you minutes. So I think Brooke would be a great pickup. I think I looked on Sports Track his ask as of I think January was going to be around the 20 million range, and I think that's straight. I'd even be willing to go over that by a little bit. The next guy I got on my list for the bigs, Nas Reed. Yeah, the Robin versus Clutch. That'll be funny, right? That'll be funny. If they had that wrestling night again, I'm sure he'd be involved in that some way somehow. Nas Reed is a dude I like. If you guys aren't keeping up with the Timberwolves, Nas was, I think, if he had played in the playoffs with I think he broke his hand or something like that. They would have been probably better off. Like he gives them a alternative look that really helped their team out with their spacing, especially with the Gobert and Cat double big lineups. When Cat was out, when Nas played the backup five, and when he came in, their plus minuses were like the plus. He was a plus across the board. Pace, different. He brought a different dynamic, and he could shoot. That MF don't miss, bro. Like I swear, I hardly see Nas Reed miss a three. So you're bringing space, and you got to remember what Coach Udoka said in the press conference is that he wanted um, the ability to be able to have some versatility, especially at the big position, and have some guys that could do things that our guys don't do very well. So Nas is he's a hard nosed guy, not a super elite defender, but he's not a cone, right? So you don't need all your players to be like Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen, but at least they're going to put effort, make smart plays. He could shoot. He can play the three or the four, so he fits my criteria. Another name I like, Thomas Bryant, is a guy that you could look at as a third center, possibly backup, depending on how freaky the Rockets are trying to get this season. But Thomas Bryant is I like him. I like Thomas Bryant, when he's on, he's shooting threes, he's running the floor in transition. He's not an elite shot blocker, but he's a once again hard nosed guy. He is a true center. He doesn't really play any other position. But LA did play some double big with him and Anthony Davis. Not great if you don't have shooters on the perimeter, but I think with our team, if you got, let's say, if you want to go to a lineup, and I've seen Ime do this. Let's say you have him and even like Sengun. Now the spacing might be trash, but if you play with the way that the Celtics play, then you can kind of sneak with it a little bit. Now, if I had him, I'd probably want to pair him next to like a Jabari or something like that. But he would be great next to Sengun because he can shoot a little bit. He's not like a knockdown shooter, but he'll hit a couple. Um, but I like him. That's a minimum guy, minimum contract. So just a guy to look at. Kevin Love, another name, free agent for Miami. He's going to be unrestricted. I'm not sure where. I didn't look at Kevin's accent point, but he's making 27 mil. I think obviously he's not going to be making that because that contract, Cleveland was trying to get off of that for a couple of years. So we know that's not his value in the league right now. So Kevin, he could shoot, he could pass. He's I've heard mixed things about his locker room presence, but nothing that I've heard that's negative. He's a good guy. Um, I think he'd be a great vet for the guys. I think any of the guys on there. Kevin's a champion. Played with LeBron. Played at UCLA with Russ. He's playing in Miami right now. Played with the kids over in Cleveland. Knows KPJ. Said a lot of good things about Kevin Porter. So they have that relationship. I think that'd be a great pickup for us. A good vet, good name around the league that is respected, and a guy that's really, he's a culture guy. So that's an easy pickup. Paul Reed is a name from Philly. If y'all watch the Sixers, man, Paul Reed, when he's on the court, the dude is on, bro. This dude is on. He's like a big man version of Tari Eason. He just does stuff that just helps them win. So Paul Reed is his archetype. He's not big. He's like trying to think who we can compare him to, like a smaller Capella, but he's more offensively gifted. I don't know. He's kind of an enigma to me as a player, but I like his energy. Like he just does good stuff. He's active. So that's a good to me. That's a kind of a different center. He can step out a little bit on the perimeter and guard a little bit. He offers some rim protection. He's a good roll man, a little bit of a lob threat, good hands. Working with James Harden, he can catch a lot of those pocket passes. I think that's a good skill for a big man to have. And the last name I'm going to talk about is Kristaps Porzingis. I said that to start. There's a weird world where I wouldn't mind giving Kristaps some money because low key, if you want to keep it a buck, like he probably is like the best fit for our team with the players we currently have. If you think about it, what Kristaps does, he can do everything on the court as a big man. He can shoot. He can set screens and rolls. He's a rim protector, good rebounder, good to elite rebounder. Um, and I'm thinking like, who can you not put him on the court with? He can play with Shangun. I think that's a perfect pairing. He can play with Jabari. That's a perfect pairing. He can be the lone center if you want to go big in certain lineups. If you want to just and he's not a slouch on the perimeter. He's a long dude that could keep his feet in front of him a little bit and be able to contest on the perimeter. I love what is it called? I love what he does. What he did this year in Washington. I know nobody looks at the Wizards. Nobody cares about the Wizards, but sneakily he had a good season over there and kind of is rejuvenating his career. So to me, that's a weird, sneaky, good fit for the Rockets. Is Kristaps Porzingis, right? Um, yeah, I think that's a good fit. Let me see. Yomer says he's a lesser Christian Wood. Hell nah, you tripping? He's way better than Christian Wood. Way better than Christian Wood. And I hope the Rockets do not try to re-sign Christian Wood. That would be some nasty stuff. But I definitely think that there's a lot of free agents in this class. There's a lot of free agents in this class that we could get that are gettable, that are reachable. They don't have to be like home runs right now. I think that the best way that you should move forward in this rebuild isn't like to try to build the 96 Bulls this year, right? I think you can kind of thread the needle where you bring in some good vets like this class offers, some good role players that fit some needs that we would be able to use to win. At the same time, you still want to develop your guys a little bit. You want to develop them and let them, because what you want is, if you truly want to build a dynasty, you don't want it to be, if you want it to sustain, you want it to be on the backs of the guys you drafted. The CBA has made it that is the incentive to do that, because if you start winning with Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Tyrese and Alperen Sengun, Kevin Porter Jr., or whoever else is here, if you start winning with those guys, that winning is going to last for at least half a decade. If we bring in James Harden and this guy and this 36-year-old, this 31-year-old, yeah, you might get two playoff runs, and you didn't traded a couple of your pieces to try to improve the team for those older players to make their run while you have them. And when you're done with that, guess what you're going to have? You're going to have a team with a lot of holes, and you're probably going to have to kind of go take a step backwards to get back to where you were. The best thing we can do is try to find out who these players we have on our roster is. Who are the diamonds in the roughs? I put a tweet out that said, I was looking at the landscape of the playoffs and who's going crazy. I think this was like a week ago. A lot of the players that are in the top, whatever, not most of them, maybe 40%, when they were rookies, nobody knew about them or cared about them or expected anything from them. A lot of people think that players like Steph Curry, nobody saw this for Steph. In fact, the Warriors were heavily criticized for what they did drafting him, right? But they had a game plan and stuck to it. But anybody that tells you they knew Steph was going to be this good or going to be an MVP, two-time MVP, four-time world champion, one of the greatest shooters ever, they are lying. Steph was, they were, you guys seen the little clip I put with I forgot what the guy's name. Basically, they were saying that they should draft, I forgot, some player over him, but Steph, nobody knew Steph was going to do this. Kawhi Leonard, nobody knew about him when he was a rookie. Hell, Kawhi could have been Josh Christopher for all you know, right? Kawhi was Jokic. Nobody knew about him as a rookie. Jokic could have been LP for all you know. He could have been, hell, Garuba. I mean, obviously, these guys flashed something, but the point I'm making, who else? Jimmy Butler. Y'all know his story. Nobody knew about Jimmy. You feel me? Nobody knew who was going to be. Giannis. Nobody thought Giannis was going to be an MVP. You know, I mean, there's a lot of players that just fit this like obscurity when they come into the league, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, they're a top 75 player. So the point I'm making is that sometimes in the haste to try to be a winning team, teams make a lot of bad decisions with their players without really getting to explore what they have. So I think the best thing we can do going forward is just make sure that we actually have a true understanding of the talent these guys have. Because what we've experienced in the past few years has not been conducive to assessing talent. So now I would, in fact, I would even be like I said, y'all know my goal for this year is to win 30 games. I know Tillman out there talking about playoffs and stuff, but if they can get to 30, 35 games, then you know what I mean, we would be cooking there because I could see as long as to me, I would rather it be on the backs of the young guys because when it's 2026, 2027, we in the playoffs as round two, we playing OKC and the Western Conference semifinals. Man, just imagine that, bro. You're rolling out there with a 26. Jalen's going to be 25 years old, 26 years old, 25 years old, I think. 25-year-old Jalen Green. Yeah, I mean, 210 pounds of muscle. You feel me? Just dead eye scorer, bucket, two-way player, rolling out there with Jabari Smith, 230 pounds, built. He's playing 4 or 5. You're rolling out there, LP done trimmed up, looking cut. You feel me? Just destroying dudes in the post. Tari Eason has already been in talks for all defense. You know what I mean? You're rolling out there with whoever else you've picked up. Coach Udoka got his clipboard on in his hand. You feel me? Your guys are out there just doing what they do. I don't want it to be a bunch of old heads. So like we still have to be patient, right? That's the point with the rebuild. You still have to be patient. There's still a lot of steps to go. So I'm going to temper my expectations to 30, 35 wins and I'll be straight. 30, 35 wins and I'll be straight. Like let's get it like that. I think the goal should be vets this year, let the young guys still kind of taste what it's like to be a winner. Next year, see what the free agency class looks like cuz third years are important for young guys. You don't know who's going to pop off. Third year leaps is a real thing. There's some guys that slump their third year. Some guys go up. The third year, you get a jump. The fourth year is when you see that, like, damn, this dude's about to be an all NBA player. It's as old as time. I'm telling you, if Jalen is a guy, by his fifth year, he's going to be an all star. If he's not an all star by his fifth year, I'm going to be worried. But if he is a guy, that fourth year, he's going to be doing something. Like, fourth year, like, damn, this dude, he might be, third team all NBA. Like, they're doing this and that. Fifth year, he got to be an all star. That's the curve for even not even just great players, but just even the good ones. So I think this third year is important for him. He needs to show something that he hasn't. Y'all seen the video I made about what he needs to do. That dude has to be a two-way player. He can't be just a bucket, right? And I love that he got a new coach that's going to push his buttons for all these guys. So yeah, I think 30 to 35 wins is where I'm good at. There's a lot of free agents. I think we have all the talent we need, positional flexibility, cap space. We got some draft. We don't even know who we're going to draft. Hell, all I'm talking about, that team I'm talking about with Jalen at 200 and some pounds and Sengun at all cut up and strong and Jabari big and Tari filled out. Hell, Wemby could be out there with them. You feel me? Or that could be Scoot Henderson pushing that point guard for them. So it's so much versatility that we have going forward. But I just think that there's still some patience to be had, and at this point, we just need to keep moving forward with the same plan and not do anything stupid. You feel me? So let me go to the chat now. That's my soliloquy. Let me look at what y'all talking about in the chat. Boys ain't talking about nothing. Let me see. Ain't talking about nothing. Let me see. I'm gonna just start here. Chetman says when it's coming down to Steph or Monte, Mark Jackson wanted to go with Monte. I don't know. I don't know if he wanted to go with Monte, but yeah, they were definitely leaning heavily Monte. I love Monte Ellis. I know he wasn't like a like efficient or the player. He probably took some dumb shots, but I don't know. I'm a when I was growing up, I was really into the what people would call like an inefficient guards. I loved hero ball. Like I think Monte was a hero ball guy, Steve Francis type of guy. So yeah, Jason Fish says the Houston Rockets need Chris Paul back. That's a thing I've thought about to bring CP3 back, especially if he would be willing to. I don't know what his contract is now. I forgot. I think he's making like 20 something million, which to me that's more. I would rather take Chris Paul at 28 million, 26 million for 4 years or 3 years, whatever it is, than to take James Harden at 45, 50 million for 4 years. That's where I'm at. That's just me. You know what I mean? I'm not, that's just my opinion. I would rather do that. So, that's how I feel about it. Chetman says, I think Houston burned that bridge. Honest, yeah. I don't think they're coming back from that. I think Jabari will be a lot better next year under Ime Udoka. Yeah, I agree. I agree. He will be. Let me see. Thurgood Marshall says we have the hardest schedule. I don't think we had the hardest, but we did have a hard schedule. I think we did have. I remember that. I was thinking they was trying to make sure we get Wembyama. I mean, yeah, what I mean. A lot of the games they beat the hard teams, but lost to the easy teams. The schedule is the schedule because it's kind of that hardest schedule stuff is not always accurate, and it changes as the year goes along because you don't know what teams like the Kings where they were high seed. Nobody thought that they were going to be who they are. Denver was the number one team. I don't think nobody saw them being number one. So the schedule stuff is kind of like bleh. I really don't put too much stock into it. But in real time, it does change. Like when they update it, like in month to month, like you have the rest of the month of March, you have the hardest schedule. That's more accurate than the ones before the season starts because that one just projects a lot. Let me see. Oops, I skipped some. Assad says, I'd be kind of sad with 30 wins. 35 is pretty happy though. Damn, 5 wins. 30 wins. Let me see. We're coming from 21. 30 wins. Let's see. 30 wins. It depends on who we have on the roster. I would say. Like if we have like let's say we get like Cam Johnson and Brooke Lopez, yeah, 30 wins would be unacceptable. Like I think you have enough there to at least push 35, 40 wins. But yeah, if we just basically got a bunch of older vets to just fill out the back end of our roster and got to 30, yeah. I mean 30, I would say 30 wins and a bunch of competitive losses, then yeah, I wouldn't be too unhappy with that. And it just also depends on how the guys look. It's not just the wins and the losses. Jake says, how do you see KPJ reacting when Udoka inevitably pushes him? I think that's really going to decide what Kevin Porter's value to the team is going to be is how he reacts to being scrutinized and being challenged. And if he is able to react in a positive way, I think it's going to unlock a level to his game that we haven't seen. And I think he's going to end up because honestly, guys, if you remove the mental aspect of KBJ's game, where a lot of his limitations lie, is his just his mental makeup, whatever you want to put on that, whether it's how he reacts to adversity on the court, whether it's how he just turns off sometimes, whether his effort that waxes and wanes, whether it's him pouting, whether it's him going off and having an anger, temper tantrum, decision making. If you remove that and he is more focused, he is probably one of the most talented players on our roster, just overall, because he can do so much defensively and offensively, playmaking, shooting, being able to score in isolation at an elite level for a guy his age, a versatile defender that could probably guard one through three on some types of players, not all types of players. A great off ball player. If you can get him to a point where he buys in fully and is just one of the guys on the team, I think you're going to see the Rockets really take a huge leap. I think he's that important. But the flip side to that is he could also crash out, right? He could also crash out, get angry, try to fight the coach. Get some y'all played sports. Y'all know those guys that they quit the team every other day, walk off. Oh, I can't, man. I'm leaving. I'm out of here. F that, and they just throw their. I used to play football. They throw their pads, take their pads off, walk off the practice field. A few days later, they're back. They done ran 1,000 yards of whatever, did 1,000 yards of bear crawls, apologize to the coach. They're back, and they do it over and over again. If that's how he is, where he's getting angry every time they push him, then I think he's going to find himself either not out the league completely because he has talent, but I don't think he'll be here long term. But that's up to him. You know what I mean? I think those both of those are realistic outcomes, and I think the one where he actually succeeds, he doesn't have to be perfect. He just has to be somebody that tries and buys in. Like you can still make mistakes and do all this stuff, but at least you're genuinely trying. So that's up to him. That's up to him. Chedman says not a great look when one of Green's last games he said he was going to hit the gym hard in the offseason, but the first time we see him, he was on the beach. I mean, I'm not mad at him taking a vacation, bro. Like if he has plans, like you know what, this offseason, I'm really going to put a lot of work in. Yeah, let his body rest, and I think that's actually good for athletes to do that. I mean, somebody as a former athlete, like when you get a couple of days off, it really does renew your body and allows you to train better. And if you're somebody that works in like kinesiology, my brother's a kinesiologist, and yeah, like rest is part of like your working out. I think where he messed up with that is that the PR look like I don't know who Jalen's or Kevin Porter's PR person is or the person that helps them with like interacting with social media, but they're doing a terrible job because that was a dumb look. Like, bro, you don't talk about yeah, we're gonna make the playoffs and you're under a tiki hut. You know what I mean? You're out there on the beach with a seagull behind you. Like that's a bad look, bro. Because your peers, Evan Mobley, who the fan base was making fun of, was in the playoffs. He's actually getting valuable playoff experience, right? So it was just a bad PR look, but in real life, bro, what are we talking about? Now, if it's like okay, bro, okay, we seen you at Coachella. Okay, now it's a fashion week, and it's this and it's that. Then we saw what he did last year. Obviously, he started off terribly, and it lasted all the way up until pretty much the new year. And I'm glad it did because I hope it humbled him. Like you can't do that. This I remember people were getting on him. He's talking about I take my trainer with me, bro. If you taking your trainer with you to travel and tour the world, then that's your priority is not the basketball. Your priority is touring. You still love basketball and you want to it is important to you, but you're putting your touring and all that stuff first, and then your trainer comes along and you're training these random gyms. Now you contrast that with Kevin Porter Jr., who's just had probably the best season of his career, locked himself in that gym with his trainer in New York. Between being here in Houston and New York, that's all he did was train. So Jalen has to make a decision, bro. Like if he's still doing this world tour stuff, I don't care if his trainer, dude, go to your gym. You need to find a spot where you can just lock yourself out from the rest of the world and focus on your job and your craft. The money is gonna come. Like it's gonna come, bro. You don't chase that bag right now. Like, yeah, you can get a little bag for going to the Philippines. You can get a little bag for, getting an endorsement here with whatever, going to Fashion Week. But dude, you know how you get a big bag, bro? Go win you a championship. Then you'll be on every damn car rental commercial, every Sprite remix. Nobody wants a loser, bro. And I think if he's playing the short game, is going to end up biting him in his butt because you gotta let the game speak for you, and then the money's going to come. So I hope this season that, in fact, I don't want to see any videos from him. I don't even care about all that stuff. Just be in the gym, touring and stuff. You're never going to get the same training that you get when you are at a gym that you are familiar with. And this could be a simple for you guys that go to work out. Like if you have your home gym that you work out, not at your house. I'm talking about if you go to like a LA Fitness or a 24-hour fitness or Fitness Connection, the one that you go to all the time, you know where everything is. You get the best workouts out of there. If you travel or you're on the other side of the city and you go work out, how does it feel? You weird. You looking for everything. Like where they keep the dumbbells? Where's your cardio? Like it messes with your rhythm. So you really can't get a great workout if you just globetrotting, bro. So he needs to sit down somewhere, man. This third year is going to be a big year for him. So I hope he's ready for that. I hope he's ready for that. But the vacation thing's not a big deal. He just shouldn't be talking about playoffs on vacation, bro. Let me see. Space Ghost says, what's good, bro? Steph ankles was looking like they wasn't going to hold up. Yeah, Steph came in with a lot of injury issues, too. I think that also knocked some of the stuff he was doing. KC says, I think if we don't make the play in, Tillman's firing Stone. Tillman wasn't playing at the presser. Now I'm gonna do the Drewski. Hey, you know what I mean? If they fire Stone, yeah, you know what I mean? More power to Stone. But if you get fired, I wouldn't shed a tear. But you know, what I mean, I think that he has a opportunity to show what he got. Like this year is big for him too. Like he got a hit on pretty much everything he does. So we gonna see. We gonna see what he does. Let me move down here. Let's see what your boy Thurgood says. I don't even know the squad we will have next season. I just know it won't have Knicks, and that's enough for me. Y'all leave Knicks. Knicks is gone, man. Well, he might still be here. I haven't heard anything about Knicks being off the roster. I know he's a free agent or something like that. I think he's a free agent. I got to check on that. But I haven't heard anything about Knicks. So there's a good chance maybe he just comes back. I don't know what Ime is going to do with them, but there's a good chance he's back. So yeah, we'll just have to see about that. Assad says if we win 30 games, it's indicative that we didn't get something. No Jalen 30-year leap. That's kind of true, bro. If I'm being honest and we want to compare ourselves to the rest of the league, the rest of the teams that are on the come up, like Orlando, OKC, etc. Let me see. If Paulo has a good season next year, I think the Orlando already has a good team. I think they're going to win more than 30 games. Would they win 28? I thought they might have won 30 this year. So between Franz having a 30-year leap, Paulo being a sophomore, they're going to get a bump. OKC, I think they're coming for like a fifth seed. Chet is coming back. So if we want to keep pace, like, yeah, we have to have leaps for multiple players. And I think it's possible. I think if Jabari isn't the worst player in the NBA, that alone gives us like an extra 5 wins. I think second year Tari Eason. But the thing you got to understand, guys, like a new coach means a new scheme. It's going to take a couple months for the guys to get used to it. So it might look ugly to start. So, you know what I mean? You just got to keep that in mind, right? So we just don't, it might look ugly. So I think that's why I'm saying this next year is going to be kind of a transition year for them, getting used to everything. So we'll see. We'll see. Chetman says I think it goes two ways. Either he thrives under it, or becomes a true two-way star, or blows up in his face, and he's on to the next team. Yeah, that's for Kevin Porter. Definitely. KDC says it's okay to go on vacation for a while. He'll be back later. Yeah, I wouldn't have posted on. Yeah, that's basically my thing. Is that it's cool to be on vacation, bro. But even not even posting on IG. Yeah, post your gal. You know, you're on a jet ski. Blah blah blah. But damn, wait till the playoffs over, bro. Or if not, don't be talking about we gonna make the playoffs. Like, bro, you that is not the visuals. It doesn't make sense. But he's a kid, probably doesn't understand the implications of that. But yeah, it just didn't make sense. Thurgood says, what's crazy is KPJ had an improved season playing on that damn ankle or foot. Yeah, that dude's been hurt for like 3 years, bro. I don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully he gets a rest because I know his release after the season was over, it was like he was already back in the gym. So he's a hooper for real. Like dude's is a hoop head. Assad says Turkey not in FIBA Cup, so Sengun should be free. Need Jalen and Sengun to lock. Yeah, bro. Like that's where the vets come in, bro. Like that's where having a vet comes in, where vets they like get the team together type stuff. Because Jalen is thinking about Fashion Nova and Shangoon. Lord knows what he's thinking about. Like, yeah, bro. Like, who's the big brother? Be like, I hope Kevin Porter can do it. Like, hey guys, hey, let's go over to Rico's and let's go get a couple runs in over the next week or two. Hang out in LA. You can still hang out with your boys. Go to Vegas. You know what I mean? Do stuff. Be rich and young, but get that work in at the same time, bro. I'm telling y'all, the year the Raptors won the championship, the whole team was down in LA, Rico. It might not just be because of Rico, but to me, the chemistry of playing together a whole summer, it means something. It means something. Like you learn just little stuff. You could try out the little stuff. And the best part of those runs, not the Drew League and all that. I mean, that stuff's okay. That's more exhibition, but I'm talking about the specific. I love Rico runs because all the best players in the world go there. Like James Harden lives in there in the summer. Russ is there. I've seen Kawhi in there, KD, Kyrie, LeBron. They go to those runs, and the guy, then you get to play against just regular NBA players every single day and some of the best college athletes. So if you got a new move you've been working on with your trainer, you get to apply it. And if me as somebody that I teach a little bit, there's the what you teach when you teach content. Some of the best way to get it to ingrained is to apply it. What is called didactic, right? You want to be able to do it. The thing I don't like about just training with a trainer in a gym that's just a bunch of cones and uh, a guy with a bag hitting your arm. That's not real, bro. Like, yeah, you want to practice that new little step back or a drive move or a little crossover that you've been working on. Go try it on Jimmy Butler at Rico's, right? See if you can get around him. So by the time the season starts, you already got your confidence. Like I could do this move. So I mean, that's the part of training that those runs provide is application. You can have all these moves in the gym, like blah 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 blah. But if you can't do it on a real player in the NBA, then it doesn't mean nothing. So I know KJ Martin was there all summer. So I'm sure there's other runs that go on in other gyms, like the one in New York. But I think Rico's the most elite. I would love to see our guys over there. Let me see what I'm gonna do. A couple more before we shut this down. Chatman says traveling from 24 hours to another with his vacay trainer. Yeah, that's fact. Let's see. Let me do. Assad says 2001, not just for those two. I need two of everyone on the roster to hit the gym hard. Not excuses. Facts. Oh, that's your name. Wait, what's the 2001 for, bro? I'm confused. Oh, you were talking to Assad. My bad, bro. I'm tripping. Evan, what's good, bro? Says, hey man, I'm a Sixers fan. I'm assuming we got rolled by the Celtics, or we get rolled, and these Harden rumors are true. Do you see any possibility of a sign and trade? I've thought about that, Evan. I'm not gonna lie. Hold on, let me clear my. Yeah, I've thought about the sign and trade situation, which is the way I see it, Evan. It would be like a way for Harden to do a solid for his buddy Daryl Morey on his way out, and that's the scenario I see where he tries to not hold Daryl Morey and be like, bro, I'm not going to leave you hanging, so I'll let you sign this contract with me that we all agree on, and it's going to be a trade. But to me, if you're going to sign and trade Harden, I wouldn't give him the max. I'm not doing not not for not for a max contract. I wouldn't give him a max if I'm going to sign and trade James Harden. That doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to give up assets and give a aging, declining star a max contract. That would be asinine. If we do a sign and trade, it definitely wouldn't be for a max contract. To me, whatever, unless I don't know who y'all would take back, but you know, what I mean, I don't know. But if it is a sign and trade, then he coming for the low, and that's cool. But I don't think James would do that because he's trying to get all the bread he can. So So, yeah, that's the only thing I would say with that. I just don't see it, bro. I don't see it, and I don't see Stone or Tillman. Remember, we didn't trade to Philly initially because of the whole Tillman thing. So I don't see a world where Tillman does Philly any solids. Yeah, so these owners are petty, bro. Y'all seen what the owner for the Nets, he wouldn't trade Kyrie or KD or Kyrie to LA because that's where he wanted to go. So like these billionaires are petty, man. They don't just let stuff just go like that. I know Tim was talking about Christians forgive, but I mean he didn't apply that to the Sixers. So I don't think he's gonna just be like, oh, let me help out Daryl Morey who left my franchise, telling me that he was gonna he pulled I forgot, I think it was Urban Meyer. I need a break, and then a few months later he has a job. So nah. Chetman says the adjustment period is going to be ugly. Remember, even when Ime was the coach of the Celtics, they started ugly. Yeah, it took some time for them to get used to playing with each other. There's a clip with Jalen Brown explaining it in like a weird kind of uh, astrological way that was kind of weird. But yeah, it took some time for them to get used to it. Let me see. Let me see. Let me go. Okay, we're almost done. Let me do this one from Usagami. KPJ needs to be the persistent friends, need to be that persistent friends that wants you to get better, but not at each other's throats. Yeah, I think KPJ can be that. He needs to probably just call Jalen out. Like, bro, let's go to the gym, bro. Come work out with me in New York. Like, let's come live in New York for the summer with me. Let's work out. Or you know what I mean? But honestly, he needs to get reps with all the players. Like if you're gonna be a guard, you need your men around you so they can know like you got to have that, like, where do you like the ball? Like, when do we, like, if we're doing a pick and roll, when do you get a lot of that during the season, but the summer you can really like expand on stuff and practice new things and talk to the players. And but that's vet stuff. That's veteran. Like, you got to be an old head to know some of that. And I think these kids just think the game is just like, I'm gonna be as good as I possibly can. Everybody right now for that team is like trying to look at themselves. I don't think they're hopefully after Ime is done with them, they're going to buy into the collective. But the thing with young people in general is that it's about me, me, me. So that's why you want to bring some of these old heads in to balance that out and get them thinking about the team instead of that. DC says Jalen stats stayed mostly flat second year. His efficiency went down. I give him a slight pass since Green is the focus of opposing teams' defense. Yeah, his stats were I guess his counting stats went up, but like his rates were pretty much the same, if not worse, as far as how well and efficient he was scoring and doing everything else. One thing that did improve for him was his playmaking. That is good to see for him. His defense was up and down. When he was good, he was good. When he was bad, it was terrible. So that's really where I want to see the leap from him. I think the scoring is not, you can't just be a bucket. Y'all know my philosophy on this. You can't just, I'm gonna score 30. Like, scoring 30 and not being a good defender and not being able to pass is useless. Is useless. One of the most useless tricks a player can do is just be a bucket, right? So I'm gonna stop judging Jalen off of just scoring, because there's so much more he can do in his game. And one of the things that I need to see him do is be able to drive and kick. And when I do that Celtics breakdown video, little preview, the Celtics offense is hella driving kicks. In fact, that is the motor for everything they did with Udoka, and even now is being able to pass out of the with the dribble penetration. And that's why I think that if Jalen is not able to make that transition, he's going to struggle a little bit. But that's definitely something he's going to have to work on in his game, as he goes forward. Thurko says, I would love for our core guys to get those Rico Hines runs. I'd love to see Jabari and Tari there. I love Shangun there too. Yeah, that'll be great, man. I wonder what Jabari does for his workouts. I like that he doesn't post a lot, but I know he's working. Like, he just seems like one of those guys. I know Tari's going to be. If y'all don't remember Tari's rookie summer, he was all over the damn globe hooping, man. That man went to every run he was invited to. He was at all the runs trying to hoop with different players. I love Tari. That's the guy he's going to get better every single year. He's going to add something to his game every single year. I love guys that can't, you got to beat him off the court. And that's like how James Harden was and is. And that's how his game is so expansive. Right? You know what I mean? That's how Kobe was. That's how KD is. It's like, you got to bro, go stop hooping. Like, all they do is hoop. They'll be in New York hooping, and LA, Miami, Atlanta, Houston. They go to every run, every charity event. They just trying to get a game in. So to me, that's just the type of guy that you want, because if they're doing that for fun, then they're really putting a lot of work behind the scenes. And let me see, we'll do this last one. Chapman says, do you think the Rockets signed KJ Martin to a bigger contract just to make it so it's easier to match salaries as far as the trades? If we can sign Cam Johnson, I think KJ is out of the rotation. Yes, yes, and yes. I would think that's what they would do, is because I think he's kind of the perfect player to give a nice maybe 10 million to, maybe 10 million, a little $30 million contract, a little 3 year, maybe a team option there. And then, you got you some money there to play with, because guys, if we try to make trades, we don't have a lot of tradable pieces. All our salary right now is just a bunch of young guys. And even if you, aside from the top round picks, all those guys' salaries are worthless. Like 1 million, 2 million, like that's not going to get you. You got to put like 5 or 6 guys to get a significant amount of money. And the only 2 guys that have any significant contracts that are not Jalen, Jabari, Tari, or Shangun, and Shangun is only 2 million, and Tari's only like 1 or 2 million. So just like Jalen and them, and we're not trading Jalen and Jabari. The only 2 guys that have decent contracts to trade are KPJ and Jayshawn Tate. So I think if they want to sign KJ to make him be somebody that we can have at least at the trade deadline, if they do the early extension, without doing the team option exercise in his last year, which is only like I forgot what it is. But yeah, I think that's the best move because it gives you flexibility. And if you do get a Cam Johnson, yeah, KJ is not going to start. I don't think he's out the rotation completely. He might just be in the rotation for backup 4 and backup 3. Like I said, you got to look at it like the Celtics. They have a very diverse lineups. Like you look at their lineups, it's crazy. There's so many different combinations of guys they put out there. And I think Coach Udoka would go probably, I'm trying to think off top right now, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Time Lord, Marcus Smart, White. I'm talking about when he was the coach there. They would have Peyton Pritchard. They would have uh, let me see, Grant Williams. So that's already 8 players deep. That is like just stuck in a rotation. Then you get these random. I forgot what the white dude they had on there. That dude. You get some minutes with Blake Griffin randomly from time to time. So that's 10. So I think he probably went like 10, 11 deep. So that's like 2 teams deep. So if you got a good roster, yeah, you could still fit in KJ. I think KJ can crack a 10-man rotation on a decent team where he can just give you minutes with the twos or some of the threes in different lineups. And you remember, guys are going to get injured. So you don't want to just dump him. He's young. So if you can get him on a good salary and you can keep him, then hey, just keep rolling with him. He's gotten better every single year. Honestly, he's the type of player you want to have on your team. But if we have to, yeah, there you go. Thank you, KDC, Cornette, and Hauser. Celtics stay keeping a bad defensive white dude, don't they, boy? They keep about 3 or 4. I guess just to satisfy their fan base. But yeah, so I think I can stop there, man, on that semi racist joke. We can stop there, but appreciate y'all for coming through, chopping it up. Me and Space are going to try to do at least one live stream a week. Probably, I think Sundays are good. Sundays are good for us. We could just chill, talk about the games from the week. And yeah, man, appreciate y'all. Remember, support the channel in any way that you can, even if it's just with your views, and keep rocking with us, and we're going to keep rocking with y'all, man. Shout out to all the CSG members, man. Y'all keep us going, man. Appreciate y'all, man. We'll see y'all on the go around. I'm going to try to drop a video this week. I think on my poll, what's winning is how Coach Udoka's offense, or his not even his offense and defense fits our players. So I'm going to look into that.